Hello, welcome back to the post-match pint in association with Purity Ale on the Villa View. If you use the code #VillaView, you'll get 10% off all Purity's goodies. Getting the money's worth out of us this week, Purity, with 2 post-match pints in a row. I'm joined by Chris Dolan and Aaron for a special show, League Cup special, I guess, lads, and it was pretty enjoyable, wasn't it?
Aaron, you go
Yeah,
first.
yeah. It was a really good game. Really good to see the youngsters given a chance and showing their worth tonight. Barrow gave us a good game. Let's not take it away from Barrow. I think the scoreline at times did us a lot of justice. I thought Barrow, really came in strong force. They had some really good players. We don't know a lot about Barrow, to be fair, but they really put up a good fight. I thought they showed some nice glimpses of football, and we were just much better than them. Quality over everything really tonight. So yeah, really good performance. Really pleasing to see the youngsters, like I say, getting their chances. Some lovely goals, some lovely team play, some real creative going-ons at the front three, particularly with our youngsters. Connor had a standing game. Really good performance from Connor tonight. Leader there for everybody to be seen. It was good. Really good round performance, and through to the next round. So let's see where we go there.
Yeah, and Dolan, whatever happens in Cameron Archer's career, nobody will ever be able to take away from him the fact that he scored a hat-trick for his boyhood club for Aston Villa.
Yeah, I mean, you called it at the start on the WhatsApp groups, saying that he wasn't one of the...
That wasn't what happened at all. All I said was, I don't think he was someone who was expected to come through, and then he scores a hat-trick, so obviously I was completely wrong with my assumption before the game.
But he is kind of the forgotten man, essentially, within the youth setup, because I said to you, what's Archer like? Is he a good player? I've never really seen much of him. Most of those youngsters that played tonight, we've all seen in some shape or form. But him, he was kind of unknown, but really impressive. Kind of like a Daraz Vassell type. It was really impressive.
Yeah.
Clearly just loves to finish. Like a really kind of. So I mean that. I think it was his second was just a classy finish, really good. Great movement in the box for the first, and he just lots of appetite and hunger, from everyone really. I think Kieran Smith tweeted something there which I thought was really kind of caught my attention about the fact, in previous years our bomb squad would have turned up tonight and it would have just been a bit miserable and it would have been a bit flat. But this was kind of Villa, showcasing the future and showcasing the talent. And I heard Gabadon say quite a lot during the game. We've got so many talented youngsters coming through, and to be fair, there's quite a few who you would have played tonight, but they're on loan at other clubs.
There's a lot missing,
like Barry and Young and Kessler, who would have played, who are just kind of that little bit further ahead. But it was just great to watch. And how much I'm a fan of Badais. I thought he was outstanding, especially for Archer's third. He was direct. He was clinical. The cheeky little pass was really good. And it was just really. I love watching those kids play. They're just just got bundles of talent, and bundles of passionate energy. And I just think just going from strength to strength, and it's great to see.
Yeah, I think you raise a good point there, to be fair, Dolan, because over the last few years, League Cup for Villa, you probably had Henry Lansbury lining up in midfield for one of his couple of games this season. Everything today, Aaron, it was fresh and it was hungry. And some of these players might not go on and do anything for Villa, but in a game like that, it's always good to see what people were about. Great to see Carney out there, great to see Badais out there. As Dolan says, all 3 of Archer's finishes, 3 different goals. Great to see. But even like the one man who played on Saturday, El Ghazi, you probably, if you're the one person that keeps your place in a game like that, you're probably not that keen on it before the game kicks off. But even he enjoyed himself out there. I mean, his penalty was an absolute joke.
Yeah, it was. My first thought with his penalty was that's pretty disgraceful, to be fair. The lack of respect that he put on the end of that penalty.
He didn't care, did he?
But he didn't care. And, that's just good for us at the moment. That's his confidence, isn't it? And we all know what a confident El Ghazi brings to the squad, brings to the team, and can bring to us on a big game. So, the more confidence that we've got in that man, the better for me. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think what tonight showed was how well we've done so far in the last few years, developing our youngsters and getting them to play a certain way. You know, the front three, the front four tonight, Jayden was unbelievable. I agree totally what Chris said. You know, Jayden was unreal tonight. So much flair, so much confidence, so much slick skill, you know, ability. Like that boy is going places. And I think Chooks as well in the middle was outstanding. You know, he was dominant. He was strong. He was solid. He can pick out a pass or two as well. I didn't really know that about his game too much, but tonight, you know, some of the passes that he made and some of the decision makings he had going on was incredible. Yeah, just a really exciting team. Really exciting team. I think in years gone by, a team like Barrow could have very easily have been a bogey team for us. You know, especially in these earlier rounds of these cups. You know, we've gone to places like Burton before and lost, or gone to places like Wickham and been turned over. You know, I think tonight could have very easily have been that several times, but it wasn't. You know, we're in a much stronger position now, a much more confident position in being able to play some of the older heads, to just bring that kind of stability to the side and then give the youngsters the freedom to go and do what they do best. And tonight they showed that. So, I mean, great scoreline, great performance. Not once did I think to myself, God, this typical cup game, this, you know, we're struggling here. We didn't struggle at all. And it was really impressive to see the boys do that. So, yeah, and just from my deepest heart, you know, it was lovely to see Axel back as well playing. You know, I love that man. I said at the beginning of the summer, he will come back to Villa. I'm sure of it. I wanted it so bad, and I got my wishes. And yeah, it was lovely to see him back in a Villa shirt. What a man! And a good game from him as well tonight, I thought.
Yeah, clean sheet. I mean, you mentioned some of the cup defeats. Am I right in thinking Bradford were in League Two when we got knocked out in the League Cup semi-final? Were they League Two? You know, we've lost the League Two sides in semi-final, so to beat a League Two side quite comfortably is never a bad thing. Just back to Badais Dolan. What I like about him is, you know, he's quite quick. He moves the ball quickly. He's quick up here as well. You know, when the ball comes at him fast, he makes the right decision, and his link-up play was very good, like you say.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably times tonight where he took one too many touches in front of the goal. I mean, there was that moment where
that was the only thing.
Scored.
That was the only thing
that, you know, there was a few chances when he probably could have let fly quicker. But on the whole, he's like a, you know, I know it's ever good to compare players, but it's just you know, it's when you think of players like him, you know, I think of Adama Traore, that real kind of direct pace and that ability, and for someone so young to be you know, like, just again, I didn't know much about him until the back end of the last season. He came in pre-season, and just for me, he was like the standout player in every pre-season game we had. There's just something about him. I'm more excited about him than Chukwuemeka. There's just something about him. I just think he's a brilliant footballer, and he's quick, he's pacey, he's just bags of talent, bags of ability, and he's 19, and he looks, you know, players like, you know, like when Gabby broke onto the scene, he was very raw, and his first touch was a little bit wayward. Even Traore, when he came in, his first touch wasn't great, but I don't know, I just sort of watch him closely. He just looks really assured and really composed already. So yeah, I think tie him down to a long-term deal, and
well, he's already on a new one fairly recently. We've got 3 years left on his contract. There was quite a lot. I think there was quite a lot. Aaron will probably know this as well. There was quite a lot of clubs circling around him. Actually, Villa tied him up to a 3-year deal in March. But if you look at Trez being out for probably the season, I don't think we'll see Trez until the back end of the season. Aaron, there is a potential space down that flank, that right flank, for someone who is direct. You know, you've got Traore who can play there and cut in. Wendy will probably spend a lot of the season on the right, but he might play games as a 10. He prefers to come inside as well because he's more of a number 10 than a wing, you know. He was good in pre-season, and I think there's certainly a space within the match day squad for him, probably most weeks now.
Yeah, totally agree. And you know what? I've got no qualms in bringing on a player like Jayden, to be fair. You know, if he performs like he does tonight, coming on off the bench for a good 15, 20-minute cameo in big games in the Premier League, I've got no issues with him coming on and doing that. You know, the confidence that he's exuding, the ability that he clearly has, and just that vision that he's got. I mean, that assist for the final Cameron Archer goal tonight, you know, dribbling around, little bit of playing, looking, and then like a little cutback pass. He knows exactly where the Archer was. He didn't even have to look. And he's a very, very clever young man. I think in his earlier, maybe it's a few years back, he had a bit of an attitude. He had a bit of this kind of ego going on. But I think he's calmed it. And he's channeling all of that kind of confidence and ego into such positive outlets now. And yeah, I mean, for me, he is one of the reasons perhaps we won't go and spend another 30 million on a decent winger. Because he is incredibly talented and he's exciting. And I think the Villa fans will want to see more and more of him playing this year. And like I say, coming off the bench, I've got no issues with him coming on for 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and giving all he's got.
Yeah, both him and Carney have had interest around him, not from run-of-the-mill teams either. We're talking big teams that would like to come and, big teams would like to come in and take them away. So a League Cup run would be good for them as well, because that they want to play. They won't be happy with being sat on the bench all season, because they know that they've got big teams that could come in and they might get some football with them. So Villa have got to be careful with those two, because there's a lot of interest in them. One surprise before the game, Dolan. I think he was due to play. In all honesty, I don't know what's happened, but it looks like he could well be off on loan, according to Greg Evans. If he doesn't go on loan, then obviously have a go at Greg, because it's him that said it all over Twitter, not me. But I mean, we did all our branding pre-match. The club did all their branding pre-match with Wesley as well. So you're presuming he was probably going to start, but it looks like he might be going. What do you think of that?
I mean, it was the perfect game for him, and I was actually looking forward to seeing him.
I was as well. I quite enjoyed his cameo on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I mean, my thoughts on Wesley. Like, I've never particularly rated him as a footballer. I just don't think he's ever going to score you enough goals. I think tonight, looking at the finishes from Cameron Archer, you just wouldn't get that with Wesley. He just everything is just a lot slower. He slows everything down.
Even against Barrow, you think he wouldn't have scored?
No, I wouldn't have seen a hat trick in Wesley tonight. I really want him. He's the kind of player that I really, really want to see do well. But I just don't think it's ever going to happen for him. I don't think it's ever going to happen. And would I want to keep him? I would personally keep him in the squad. I'd keep him in and around the squad this season for sure. I think you bring him on with 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go. He can cause problems. He can hold the ball up when needed, especially for set pieces in the attacking and defensive ends of the pitch. He can be useful, but it looks like we're going to probably move him on loan, and it's just. People say he was coming good before the injury. I never saw that. He
had one good game.
Never really rated him. And listen, his injury was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. A kid so young to come over from Europe and to sort of have an injury like that at that stage of his career must have been really horrendous to deal with. So. I wish him nothing but the best. But for me, the way Dean Smith plays, I can never really see him fitting into the way we want to play. I mean, looking at Archer, you'd start Archer ahead of Wes if push came to shove. But yeah, it's interesting. I thought he would have stayed, but it looks like he's going to go out on loan. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Archer's probably propelled himself to the bench actually for Saturday now, depending on what happens with Watkins. I mean, Aaron, it seems to be this thing where we can only have one fit senior striker at the football club. Watkins is injured at the moment. Wesley and Ings were the two fit senior strikers, and Villa can't have that. Only one. We can only have one fit striker at the club at any one time, senior striker. That's just what seems to happen now, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I thank God we brought in someone like Danny as well. It's a difficult one, because I think the persistence with Dean to play the way that he wants us to play, in my eyes, you could only really have one out-and-out striker. And most of the times with Watkins, we've got a striker that can actually be quite dynamic and play a various amount of roles at that front. And so I think bringing Danny in just gives us that cover. I think he's a quality player. He'll score loads of goals for us. Do Danny and Ollie play together at some point? Is there synergy for them to play together? I'm not sure. But I agree with Doles. I think Wesley is not the man that we hoped he would be. It's not for the lack of trying. He's had a horror show since he's been here, and it's just not worked out for him. So I think the best thing is to go out on loan, get some games, to see how he gets on. Perhaps return in January with a little bit of game time behind him, a little bit of match fitness up to speed again, and see where we go from there. But for sure, players like Archer. Ollie, Danny. Wes ain't getting in that team, and it's quite simple, really. So, pleasing to see Danny come in. He's started off great for us, hasn't he? And I do want to see Ollie back as well, because I think Ollie for us is a different type of player. He gives us a hell of a lot of hold up play. He does a lot that people don't really. Massive miss, mate. Massive miss. And I'll just be interested to see how a fit Ollie Watkins plays with a fit Danny Ings. I think that'll be interesting to see how we work that one for sure.
Maybe a loan up is the best thing for Wes. I mean, maybe a season sat on the bench isn't great for him at this current point when he's had such a bad injury and he's still so young. I mean, to go out, I guess it depends where he goes as well. I mean, this is based on absolutely zero knowledge because, as I say, I thought he was playing tonight. Maybe going back to Brazil and getting his head right and going back home, maybe that's the right thing for him. Maybe back to Belgium where he was playing before. I mean, Villa will be paying a hell of a lot of his wages, I would think, for any loan move. But interesting. We'll see exactly what happens. Now, Dolan, what do you think was my favourite thing about the game tonight?
Absolutely.
I would have thought you'd have got it straight away.
Jed's
No. Aaron?
Conor Hourihane?
Yeah, Conor captain.
Oh, okay. Right.
Captain Conor. I mean, I think he'll probably still be looking to go by the end of the month, Dolan. I think he does not want to hang around and sit on the bench or not even be on the bench. The guy loves playing football, complete opposite of Lansbury. He wants to play football every single week. But it was nice to see him tonight, wasn't it, Dolan? Captaining the club. Yeah. That is the last time we see him. That's a nice little ending. Shame he didn't score, but it's a nice ending.
I mean, just from a selfish point of view, I'd keep him at the club just because I think he's so good with the youngsters. I think he's great around the dressing room. I think he's a real leader. He's probably one of the most experienced. Well, he's the longest serving member of that squad, isn't he now?
Yeah.
So and he's been here 4 or 5 seasons. So personally, I'd keep him. I think having a Conor Hourihane in your armoury with the fact now that we're so heavily involved with set pieces, again, you bring someone like Hourihane on in the last 15 minutes, and he's lethal from a dead ball. So, I would keep him. I think he'd be great to have around the club. I thought tonight he was just a class above. He didn't break sweat. He just ran that midfield, some incredible balls over the top. But I think knowing Conor like we do, I think he's going to want to go out and play some football, and it'll be whether or not he wants to sort of stick around within the squad, and not even sometimes make the matchday squad, or go out and get some football. But there's been a few rumblings about Bournemouth. I don't know. I like your man Jefferson Lerma from Bournemouth. And I know we're crying out for a kind of a season.
He is an absolute walking card. Yellow cards, red cards.
I like Lerma. So maybe we could do a deal, on that front. But it'd be sad to see Conor go, because I think when he left last season to go to Swansea, I think people realised kind of what a great player he was, when he wasn't in and around the squad.
I maintain he could have done a job in the second half of the season last season.
I think so. I mean, he was our key man. Him and Luis were our key men in that post lockdown. Post lockdown. You think about some of the. You think about the assists against Palace. You think about the assist against Arsenal. You think about the assist against Everton. In that kind of run-in post lockdown, he was sensational. And he sort of played like a quarterback. He just gets the ball and he's just lethal with his left foot. And when you have someone like Mings and Konza on the end of it, then for me you keep Conor as a little weapon in your armory. But I think he wants to play football. He's good enough. He's good enough to play week in, week out in the Prem. He's definitely good enough to play week in, week out in the Championship. And if you're someone like a Fulham or a West Brom or a Bournemouth trying to break into the top 2 in the Championship, you'd be all over that one.
But there's not many clubs in the Championship with any money.
That's true.
I think that's going to be one of the problems. I think if there was, I think he'd probably be gone already. I also think if he knew he was going to be on the bench and come off the bench, most weeks, I think he'd want to stick around, because I know he absolutely loves playing for Aston Villa and he's been an unbelievable servant for Villa. But he wants to play, and Aaron, I think he deserves a move. But as I say, it was just great to see him out there tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I've always loved Connor. I've got no issues with him. You know, he's been loyal. He's a huge reason why we are where we are today. You know, one of the kind of older group that we brought in the Championship that took us to where we are, and I think we need to be forever grateful for that. He's a true pro. He's great in the dressing room. He's a leader. He knows the game inside out, and he loves the club. And if it's not going to happen for him here, I wish him all the very best in getting that game time that he fully deserves. And I know that he will crave, because he's still got a hell of a lot of legs left in him. You know, we saw that tonight. Yes, it was Barrow, but he dictated that middle of the park tonight, and he was a sensational player tonight. And so I just hope he gets a good move and gets some football. I do think that, you know, a top kind of Championship side would be ideal for him. Bournemouth, Fulham, West Brom, maybe even someone like a Barnsley, perhaps, go back home and rip it up again back home. I don't know. But you know, I think he won't be here come the end of the month. But I don't think that will be because we want to force him out. I think it will just be because Connor's so damn eager to go and get some game time and start playing some regular football again. And he deserves that. He deserves that, to be fair.
Yeah, I suppose the other one, Dolan, who, you know, kind of completely on the fringes of the club, he hasn't been on the bench in the league yet, is Freddie Gilbert, who, you know, bit of a Hitzelsberger finish.
He did not like happy. He did not like happy.
No, he didn't. He wasn't happy to score.
Did not happy at all. Did Freddie?
No.
He's another one. He's just on the periphery, isn't he? He's probably
he's another one, but probably him and Cash are the only two right backs. I thought we would have kept Kessler and as backup to Cash personally. So maybe we keep Gilbert this season as backup. Kessler goes out and then
young can play there. Constant can play there. He just will not play.
Yeah.
I think Freddie will go. I think Freddie will go, and we've got Axel, who can play right back quite nicely. Conter that can play right back quite nicely. House can play there.
House plays the left back.
Yeah.
The defence is quite versatile. There's a few of them can play in different positions. Yeah. He did put in a nice ball for one of the goals, though.
I mean, like, again, another one came on. You know, that for me, our most important game over the last sort of 5-6 years was that 1-1 against Arsenal, and he came in and he was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And I don't think he's the best right back we've ever had, but I think he did a job for us. Positionally, he seems to maybe get caught out a little bit, but he's not a player that he hasn't had a bad spell at Villa. We just kind of progressed quite quickly, and
there was a big jump from one season to the next.
Big jump.
What's this? What is this?
Heading back to Club Brugge.
Big ass head back to Belgium, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a right win there, Club Brugge, selling for 25 million or whatever it was, and then loaning back a couple of years later.
Where's he on loan? Yeah.
I bet that loan recuperates some of the money we paid for him, though.
I bet he doesn't.
It's not official, but Greg's just
if Greg said it.
Greg and Matt Mayer have just tweeted it. So
if Greg said it won't be wrong. Absolutely won't be wrong.
So there you go. I mean, I don't think we'll have anyone we discussed on the WhatsApp. I don't see anybody coming in to replace him. I think.
Nah.
Kanan's the man for the bench when he's fit, but
So I mean, but if you look big, our front 5 or 6 are as fluid as our back 5 or 6, because again they can interchange. Traore can play up top, and Bailey can play up top as well.
That's true.
You got Watkins, you got Ings.
He's not going to play. It's better he gets.
So there, for me, I always think you need 3 out strikers at your football club. We do have 3 strikers in Davis, Watkins, and Ings, but Davis is never fit, so we only have 2.
I'd just like to have more than one to choose from, because we've signed Ings, and then we signed Ings, and Watkins is injured. It would just be nice to have more than one striker to choose from, when it just doesn't seem to be possible in Claret and Blue.
No.
West Ham are the same. They've only got one striker.
Yeah,
he's doing very well. Antonio, if he doesn't,
not bad for right back, is he?
I wasn't sure about his celebration last night, though.
What about can we mention Matt Targett? Because
so there's been a lot of Twitter chat about it. I don't want to go too hard on him. I think it's a bit.
No, I'm not going to go in harsh. I'll never go in harsh, because he was probably one of our players of the season last year. But
technically he was, yeah.
Well, he was, but I mean, we were at Watford, Dan, and sad to say, he got ripped to shreds, and it was not nice to see. And I just don't know. Has he come back carrying an injury? Has he come back unfit? He looks like
he did have an injury. He picked up an injury at the last game of the season, so he's come back from pre-season, not in his best shape, in the best condition. Yeah, you can see it. I'm sure he probably knows.
He knows himself. Yeah.
He's not the Matt Target, because we were all saying last season, oh, look at the improvement in his condition, and he doesn't look like he did last season. I suppose, Aaron. That's looking at him, but he'll be back. He's a good player. He'll be back.
Yeah. I think that's all it is. It's fitness. It's just fitness, I think. And like you say, he's gone away for pre-season. He's not really done what he hopes he could do in pre-season to keep himself in shape, ready for the new season. And I do think he'll come back. I give him a few weeks, get himself back into shape, get himself back on the ball again. And he's being pushed by one of the fittest men in football currently. Yeah. So he's got a hell of a lot to live up to. Ashley Young will keep him on his toes for fitness, and he will be knocking on his door every day in training, saying, you need to keep up with me, otherwise I'm having your place, and that's how it needs to be. But I do think Matty will come back. We've seen how good he can be for the club. Last year he was sensational for us, and it was a much improved season for him. And I think he will come back and be better again. But he's just had a slow start. It is what it is. Pre-season this year was a shambles. You can give it to half the players to come back a little bit unfit, because it was an absolute shambles, to be fair. So, he'll come good. I'm sure.
I think Young has the shirt. I mean, at the minute, Young has the shirt. He'll start against Brentford. But as you say,
he'll get up there.
He'll get back in. He'll get back in again. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, his first season, he was, I remember his fitness wasn't great at the start of his first season, and then maybe the short turnaround between the first season and the second season helped him, because there wasn't a long break at all, was there? Yeah. And he came back there looking really, really sharp. I guess, like you say, the pre-season's been a joke for a number of players. It hasn't just been him. Buendia's not fit at the moment. I think that's plain to see. So it was quite disruptive, lots going on. So give him time. I'm sure Matty Target will be back. I think that does us for this week. Thanks ever so much to the guys for joining me, and thanks to Purity as well for continuing to sponsor us. If you do want to get your hands on some of Purity's beers and whatnot, then if you use the code #VillaView, you will get 10% off that order. We'll be back on post-match point. Sorry, the producer's messaging me on the screen when I'm trying to talk. Absolutely outrageous, putting me off. We'll be back on Sunday for a post-match point after the Brentford game. Obviously, the Brentford game Saturday. We'll be doing the post-match point on Sunday. And now the producer's having a go at me, swearing at me as well, completely unprofessional. There is a little match day experience video from Young Lee and Brian on our channel as well, and we did do a post-match point last night because it was a day late because of someone as well. So yeah, check out all the content that we've had on the channel in the last few days. We'll be back on Sunday. Have a good rest of the evening. I mean, I imagine most people are going to bed, and up the Villa.